Oh, well, there is something about sunrise that I absolutely love. You know, going from it being dark to the start of a day, you know, the beginning of a day is just, it's absolutely beautiful. I've never woken up for a sunrise and watched one and realized, you know, maybe I should be back in bed. Like, I never regret it. But sometimes waking up early, we had a 2-hour drive here to Prescott, Arizona, and it can be a bit rough sometimes. So we've had a little bit of caffeine already, and we got about a 20-minute hike, so we're gonna get going. But I can't wait to show you guys this place. Chris and I are here in Watson Lake. Absolutely beautiful. We're gonna see if we can find something. It's a bit hard because showing up to a place in the dark and trying to kind of location scout at the same time can be a bit difficult. So let's go. Good morning, everybody. We are here in beautiful Watson Lake. We got these giant granite dells that just line this part of the lake. Now, there's two different ways to shoot. You got the big open landscapes that work really well when there's a lot of color. But that's a little bit different, I think, than shooting for light. So what I like to do generally is when I'm shooting for color, like I'm relying on clouds in the sky, relying on, you know, a big colorful sky, that's when that big hero image really works well, I think, a lot of the times. Then once that sun starts to come up, it's good to move down and shoot for light, which means, you know, using the light as it kind of shapes the rocks and the trees or whatever the subject is. A lot of times that means more intimate landscapes. Right now I have a long lens on, which is different than what I normally do for a big open landscape. But what I think I'm going to shoot here is a pano. So I'm shooting right now at 3 seconds, f8, ISO 64, and it's probably going to be about a 7-shot or 8-shot pano of these granite dells here. I got kind of layers. You got blue water, then you got a row of kind of these granite dells, then some more blue water, then kind of a peninsula of more granite dells, then more blue water. So there's a different layer. Each part of the frame that's really cool. I think it's beautiful. Plus you got well, it looks like it's gonna be a colorful sky, I think. So once I get this shot, I'm gonna move down when the sun comes up and start using that light, because there's some isolated trees on these rocks. Chris is setting up back here behind me too, kind of the same concept. She's gonna have that big open landscape and then move down and really try and use the light to shoot a lot of reflections, which there's a little bit of a breeze, but reflections here can be absolutely beautiful. So I'm super excited to see what happens on this shoot, and yeah.
Yes, I started off with a wide angle. The color was gone pretty fast, so I changed to the long lens, and now I'm just picking up details in the landscape here. I'm using a polarizer right now because the glare is pretty real right now. So I'm using the polarizer to cut a little bit of that glare and to keep a little bit more color in my photo.
Alright guys, well, we moved down just a little bit. Chris kind of stopped up there. The sun's gonna come up here in about 5 minutes, and there's a tree back here that it's on a rock out in the middle of the lake by itself. So I'm gonna get out the long lens, I'm gonna set up, try and isolate that, and because these trees are really green and this granite is kind of a muted, almost like a muted sandstone, so it's not really saturated in color, but with the green trees and the green leaves on these trees, I think it's going to be really beautiful. So I'm going to set up now with the long lens and hope for the best. So we got some light starting to hit the dells up here, starting to hit some of the hills back in the back. So that sun's getting ready to come up. And man, what a beautiful place. Chris is getting here right now. She's gonna set up. We got a nice, beautiful tree.
After that.
Can't talk and do the photo?
Nope.
Okay guys, so we found a spot a little bit lower. Kind of moved 3 or 4 times to get this tree that I really like in the image the way I wanted it framed and isolated from anything in the back. We got light hitting it now, which is absolutely gorgeous. And so I have a circular polarizer on to cut the glare. I have a 6-stop to kind of smooth out that water. It's about a 15-second exposure right now. The problem is with the breeze, the exposure time, the shutter speed, because of the wind, it's kind of blurry. So I've taken 2 shots. One shot for the smoothness of the water, and then one shot to get those leaves really still. Had a high ISO, like ISO 500 or something like that. So I am at f7.1, ISO 500, and 1/50th of a second. And that's freezing those leaves just enough to where it's not completely blurry. The other shot I have is f7.1, 15 seconds at ISO 64. And what I'm gonna do is blend those together because the long exposure shot, the leaves are just completely blurry because it's got a small breeze there. So, but I absolutely love this shot. It's beautiful. That light's hitting that tree just perfect and just making that green turn a little bit yellow with the blue water. I just think it's absolutely beautiful. So, yeah, the key is also to finding and taking original photos is to post them before your partner does. So that's the best way I think to find original photos or to claim original photos is to post to Instagram before she does. Okay, and full disclosure, that was Chris's idea. That's kind of her tip to shooting the original photos. So I completely stole that. So I have to give her credit since she is standing right here. If she wasn't standing here, I would claim that as completely original as well. So of course, as soon as we start shooting, these ducks now are just sitting on the rock. They're just hanging out around there. So Chris, tell me what you think about those ducks over there. She's censoring herself for the YouTube video. I guarantee you there was a lot of F words just said. So what did you think of Watson Lake?
It is a beautiful lake. Has a lot of wildlife, a lot of birds. So if you like birds, that is definitely a place to come. And yeah, it's a beautiful area. There's a lot of variety here in Arizona. I didn't expect that. I expected it to be more deserts, but places like this is like totally different what I would expect of Arizona. When we first got here, there were a lot of high altitude clouds, so it looked absolutely beautiful. But the light was like gone in about 2 minutes or so. So we had to look for new compositions, and I think we managed pretty well. So with mornings like this, it is important that you don't just shoot for the light, but I mean like the color, but also shoot for the light a little bit later. Not shoot directly into the light, I would say, but just check out the area and what the light is hitting, and then maybe play a little bit with the light and shadow. So.
Alright guys, well that is going to be it for this shoot. We're going to head back now. We got about a 2-hour drive back home. And then this will be our last video on Chris's trip here. 2 weeks from right now, which will be pretty close to the release of this video. I will be in Switzerland with Chris. We don't have a for sure plan yet, but we're thinking of going into the Alps. So stay tuned for that guys. And like always, thank you so much for watching. Bye.